So, today I would like to talk with you about the evolution of the trumpet. You all know the modern day trumpet, but it has roots way back thousands of years BC, very ancient instrument. And like the French horn, as we learned last week, it has its roots in animal horns. The first trumpets were essentially animal horns. They would have been made out of conch shells or sometimes even entire trees carved into this shape of the trumpet. And the shape is what I want to talk about first. The basic construction for the trumpet has three components. The first is the cup-shaped mouthpiece. You can see it's like a little bowl and there's a hole for the air, but this is where you buzz your lips to make the sound. Then you have a tube through which the sound goes. If you buzz into it like that, but it doesn't sound very trumpety yet, so there's one more thing, a flared bell at the very end to project and define the sound. Yes, this is exciting. Okay, and here we go. That's a lot of fun. So, this is the basic construction for the trumpet. And so, people would use this, they'd use their animal horns, their trees, or their garden hose trumpets to signal. It was basically used as a signal instrument. They'd use it to call in the goats from the hillside, or to herald the entrance of a king or queen, or to tell everybody that it was time to stop working and go home for the day, or to send like military signals across the battlefield. And so it was basically a tool of everyday life. And composers started using it to evoke these everyday activities. So if the composer wanted a battle scene, they'd put trumpets with fanfares in it. Or if they wanted to give the appearance of royalty, they'd put these brilliant fanfares to suggest that kings and queens were marching around. And that was all fine and good, but the construction, and I mean, when they used them as instruments in the orchestra, they used something like this. They made them out of metal, brass tubes, but the construction is the same. Mouthpiece, tube, bell on the end. But the problem with this design is it can only play a certain number of notes. I'll demonstrate. The closer the notes get together. But down low, you can only play notes like, and you can't play any notes in between there. And that's a problem because if the composer wanted to use the trumpet for a melody, they'd have to play very high, which required specialized training, and not many people could do it. So mostly the trumpet was stuck with playing bum-ba-ba, bum-ba-ba, bum-ba-ba for thousands of years, and it got very boring. So one day, a man named Anton Weidinger decided enough was enough, and he would fix the trumpet. So in 1796, he created a new invention, a brand new kind of trumpet. And what he did was he took this, drilled holes in it, and put saxophone keys on it. And so whenever you lift up a key, the hole would be exposed and the air would wiggle and change the pitch. And suddenly the trumpet could play all the different pitches of the scale and could play tunes in any register. But the sound quality suffered because there were holes in the instrument. So, but it was good enough to catch the ear of Joseph Haydn, and he decided to write a trumpet concerto to celebrate this new invention and show off the contrast in styles, the old fanfare style and the new stepwise melodic style. Now, this piece, Haydn's trumpet concerto in E-flat major, would have been played on the key trumpet originally, and it would have sounded kind of like this. So in 1839, a man named Francois Perronnet invented the piston valve, which is what you see here. And that allowed the sound to stay within tubing and go out, all of it go out the bell, so that it sounds all right. And so I'm going to play the concerto, just the exposition, on the valve trumpet to show you. Lots of stepwise motion, lots of chromatic passing tones to highlight the new invention of Anton Weininger and what we know today as the modern chromatic trumpet. Are there any questions, or would anybody like to try and play the garden hose trumpet?
Really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I have a mouthpiece that doesn't have coobies on it.
I'd like to play.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to, or the natural trumpet. You can play this trumpet too. Just pleasure with you. Yeah. 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 Almost done.
Yeah, man.
Here's a piece of
John Cage, look.
Put that on your next line.
Size of the tubing make a difference? The two trumpets have the same length of tubing and they're shaped differently.
Yes, there are two options for a tube. You can, well, there are two basic options. You can have a perfect cylinder all the way through your tube, or you can have a cone, a conical tube, so it starts small and gets bigger. And you can decide, like, maybe half your trumpet has cylinder and half has conical. And depending on that ratio, the sound changes. Like, if you have more conical, it'll sound more like a French horn. And if you have cylindrical, it'll sound a lot more like this.
What's a cornet?
A cornet is, it's like a post horn, which is this, but conical, with piston valves on it.
Any other questions?
What's a post horn?
It is this, but in a conical shape instead of a perfect cylinder.
Why are there so many different trumpets?
So many different shapes,
Right.
because they all sound different. So if a composer wanted a more French horn-like sound, but still with some trumpetness in it, they would choose a cornet or a post horn.